Part 111. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 1101. It's time to drive ducks to the shelves, whoever persuades is a dog. Go away. Who wants to bury you with me? The life of this young palace lord is worth more than yours. While talking, Jianming wanted to pounce on Fang Fan with his teeth and claws. In his opinion, Fang Fan only dared to hold him or slap him, and never dared to make a real move. As long as he breaks free and escapes, he can save his life. If so, this wave is perfect. When he escapes, Fang Fan will naturally have no bargaining chips in his hands. At that time, he must slash this guy with 1,000 cuts to vent his anger. While thinking about it, Jianming couldn't help laughing out loud. One of his hands pretended to attack Fang Fan, and then his body was ready to escape at any time. Fang Fan glanced at the madly slashing sword life with his sword, then raised his long sword without hesitation and slashed at his neck. The speed and strength of the sword are all at normal levels. If this sword really cuts the neck of the sword, then he will basically be in a state of being reimbursed. Jianming couldn't hide the look of horror in his pupils, and immediately raised his hand subconsciously, trying to block a wave. Stab. Click. The sound of the long sword piercing the flesh came. The sound of the long sword cutting flesh and blood came. After all these voices come, everything will stop. Ah. Ah ah ah. It hurts. It hurts so much. The young palace master of Tianjian Palace was lying on the ground and rolling frantically, and his hands were cut off by Kajin just now. There is an extremely deep scar on the forehead. If this guy hadn't blocked with his hands just now, he might be a dead body now. Everyone's eyes showed fear in their eyes. Fang Fan used his powerful wrist to tell everyone his willpower. Sure enough, this is the big boss Fang Fan I know. Huh. I really admire it. It's too strong. I can't afford it. Maybe this is the world of the boss. Who can withstand this? Suspending everything, this is too strong. I can only use 666 to express the admiration in my heart. I saw it just now, Fang Fan really wants to cut off the head of the young palace master of the Tianjian Palace. Hey! If this guy hadn't finally survived by cutting his tail and using his own hands to block some of his power, he would have been a corpse by now. To dare to slaughter directly in front of the 8 great swords of the heavenly sword star region is truly admirable. Otherwise, how can you be a boss? This time, the young palace master of the Tianjian Palace must have been directly counseled. Look, Huang Jiandaoqi's face is completely dark. Ha ha ha. For Mao, I'm so happy when I see them upset. I feel the same, but I can't say it. Don't be targeted at that time. I understand, I understand. Loki is king. Boy. I don't know who your backer is, but you must die today. Huang Jiandoke, one of the 8 absolute swords, clenched his fists tightly, the sword in his hand flashed a light, and immediately attacked Fang Fan directly. Fang Fan's sword has been on the neck of the young palace master Jianming of Tianjian Palace, but this Huang Jiandoke doesn't seem to care at all, and has already launched a desperate charge. It seems that your identity as a young palace master is nothing in their eyes. No one cares about your life or death. Since your bargaining chip is no longer useful, then kill it. Fang Fan glanced at the young palace master of Tianjian Palace under his sword and said indifferently. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu. Chapter 1102. No. Don't, I'm useful. I'm useful, don't kill me. Tianjian Palace's young palace master Jianming turned pale for a while, and hurriedly made a pleading sound. Doke. Are you trying to kill me? Stop it. Stop it. This young palace master told you to stop it? This young palace chief is dead, and my father will definitely not let you go. Jianming stared at Huang Jiandoke with sinister and indignant eyes. When life and death were at stake, he just wanted to live. As for the rest, he couldn't care less. In his eyes, this Huang Jiandoke clearly did not take his life in his eyes, so he launched an attack directly. Didn't he just want to anger this Fang Fan and let him die under the sword of the angry Fang Fan? Jianming's body was trembling frantically, and blood filled his eyes. Huang Jiandoke's face paled a little. He was naturally unhappy when he was insulted by Jianming in public with his nose pointed at him, but as one of the 8 absolute swords, he naturally had his own confidence and arrogance. The action remained unchanged, and continued to kill Fang Fan's position. Sure enough, your young palace master is indeed worthless, then, die. Fang Fan smiled slightly and let the Blood Azure Legion stand in front of him, while he indifferently slashed towards Jianming's neck. No. No, I am the young palace master of Tianjian Palace, they dare not disobey my orders, don't worry, I will definitely be able to stop him. Don't kill me. The sword life that lost both hands was trembling at the moment, and the color of fear in his eyes suddenly showed. There are very few people who can remain calm in the face of death. Doke. Lao Mao. I know you've been upset with me for a long time. Don't you just want to kill me with the help of Fang Fan's hands? I told you to stop in the name of the young palace master of Tianjian Palace. Otherwise, it will be regarded as a rebellion. Old bastard. Stop it. This young palace master ordered you to stop. Are you idiots deaf? Stop me, this old bastard Doke. Jianming roared loudly, while giving orders to other practitioners in Tianjian Palace to stop Huang Jiandoke. Fang Fan was instantly happy. Originally, he really wanted to kill this sword with a single sword, but now it seems that it is more useful to keep this guy. At least, can you respond to each other? Being scolded in public for being an old man, Doke naturally couldn't help Gubo not be surprised. With his status, coupled with the name of Bajwayan, even the masters of the third-rank forces would have to give him some face. But this sword life, this dude. As the young palace master of Tianjian Palace, showing this attitude at this moment is simply losing the face of their Tianjian Palace. Today's Tianjian Palace may have become a joke for everyone. What made him even more angry was that the other cultivators in Tianjian Palace really obeyed the orders of this rascal young palace master and actually intercepted him. This made the anger in Jianming's heart derive to the extreme. Go away from me. This seat is rescuing the young palace master. Who dares to stop him? Kill them all. His heart can be punished. Get out of the way for this seat. Whether the seat is the rebellion of Tianjian Palace, he, a young palace master, said it doesn't count. As the young palace master of the Tianjian Palace, how can you compromise because of fear? Sword cultivators, keep moving forward. There's no point in life and death. Huang Jiandu snorted coldly and slashed with the sword. The surrounding Tianjian Palace practitioners immediately retreated, and then he continued to kill Fang Fan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1103. Today his sword must see blood. The honor of Tianjian Palace cannot be trampled on. Even if the young palace master of the Tianjian Palace dies, such a will must continue. This is the bottom line. Seeing that Huang Jian and Doke had already been killed, Fang Fan was ready to let the Blood Shura Legion use the Legion combat skill Shura Unity. Haha. Why did the 8 absolute swords come to the city lord's territory so much? Wouldn't it be better for young people to handle their own affairs? A middle-aged man wearing a luxurious purple robe floated in the distance, and he directly blocked Huang Jiandokei's lore move. Lord City Lord. It's Lord City Lord Chen Tianyuan. I wipe? How did you blow up this one? This is the leader of our Chentian Star region. Isn't it? The city lord of Chentian City, the third-rank power Chentian clan patriarch. Hey, seeing him like this, he seems to be blessing Fang Fan. Tisk, it seems like this is the case. If it looks like this, then this matter is really interesting. Haha, I have long heard that Fang Fan is going to be the consort of the Chentian clan. At first I thought it was fake, but now it's real. Boss Fang Fan is still amazing. It's no wonder they dare to be so arrogant with such a behemoth backed by the Chentianzu. But it's a little too arrogant. The young palace master of Tianjian Palace, that's not a small person. Who said no? Not only is he not a small person, but his status is also extraordinary. Although Chen Tianzu and Tianjian Palace are both third-rank forces, all Tianjian Palace are master swordsmen, and their combat power is overwhelming. Chen Tianyuan originally hid behind to watch the play. He came a long time ago. Xiao Jinlong survived the heavenly tribulation of the 7 laws of the emperor, and after the robbery, he soared 10 levels directly from the absolute true king realm to the 10-star emperor realm. This is not a trivial matter, and at that time, there was a thunder in the sky over Chentian City. Googling, it's hard for him not to notice. Later, some disputes between Fang Fan and Tianjian Palace's young palace master Jianming broke out. At that time, Chen Tianyuan only regarded it as a point between the juniors, and naturally he didn't take it to heart. But then things got more and more chaotic. Fang Fan actually threatened to kill the young palace master of the Tianjian Palace in front of other people's Tianjian Palace Bajweihan. Not only did he say that, but he did it. It's just that in the process, the young palace master of Tianjian Palace was a little more clever, and finally used 2 hands to exchange his life. Chen Tianyuan glanced at the stumps and blood on the ground, and couldn't help but look at Fang Fan. This guy, how much courage has he grown? This is clearly to offend Tianjian Palace to death. Even he tried to maintain peace and respect when facing the Heavenly Sword Palace. How come there is no sense of fear in this kid? Afraid that the world will not be in chaos? This guy has extraordinary talent and will become a great player in the future. But if you really let Shi'er follow him, I'm afraid I'll be really scared in the future. They are tossing around in the Chentian Star territory and the Chentian clan will support them, but according to the character of this kid, you can see that he is not a quiet master. The big forces have provoked it, I can't do anything about it. Chen Tianyuan swallowed a mouthful of saliva and glanced around Fang Fan rather aggrievedly. Sure enough, his 2 precious daughters were standing beside Fang Fan at the moment, looking quite close. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1104. The Women's College is not in the middle. Chen Tianyuan sighed with emotion. If this kid had nothing to do with the Chentian clan, he wouldn't have run over to block bullets for him at this time. City Lord Chen Tian, what do you mean? Are you going to declare war on our Tianjian Palace? Huang Jiandu, one of the 8 swords of Tianjian Palace, snorted coldly and looked at Chen Tianyuan with an unpleasant expression. Although Chen Tianyuan is the patriarch of the third-rank power Chentian clan, their Tianjian Palace is not cowardly. He, Sword Saint Dokei is joking, we Chen Tianzu and Tianjiangong have always been friendly to each other, so how can we start a war? As I said just now, it's all the young people's own business. It's better to let them solve it by themselves. Wouldn't it be better? Why are we messing with this matter? Chen Tianyuan stood up directly and expressed his meaning very clearly. The potential meaning is, Fang Fan, I am guaranteed. Take a break. Huang Jiandu's face was ugly for a while, and he couldn't help holding his hands silently, his eyes flickering with brilliance. But what about this kid who broke the hands of the young palace master of the Tianjian palace? And this kid was quite rude to me just now. Is that enough? Doke clenched the sword in his hand and wanted to rush over, but Chen Tianyuan stopped him, and he felt quite helpless. Although he is a middle-level quasi-sage and has good combat power, he is still not enough to see in front of this person. Isn't it normal that there are some injuries in the sparring among the juniors? As for being rude to Sword Saint Doke, where does this come from? I guess it's probably because Doki Jianzhen wanted to attack Fangfan just now, and he said something in a hurry, right? Doki Jianzhen wouldn't care about this kind of thing, right? As a swordsman of the generation Holy, it's impossible not to have this kind of heart. It was originally an annoyed thing, but after being analyzed by this Chentian city lord, it doesn't seem to be a big deal. If Huang Jiandaoqi continued to pursue it, it would appear that he was a little belly. Huang Jiandu took a deep breath and wanted to kill directly, but he also knew that it was not practical to say this at this moment. He must release me, the young palace master of Tianjian Palace. I'll give Chentian City Lord a face for today's matter. I can't do anything in Chentian City, just go outside, he. Huang Jiandu looked at Fang Fan with gloomy eyes, and the threat in his eyes was obvious. Fang Fan shrugged, he didn't take this kind of thing seriously, what a big deal. Made it so hard? Of course it is. Chen Tianyuan nodded, even if Doke didn't say anything, he couldn't have let the young palace master of Tianjian Palace die here. If his arms were cut off, he could still continue, but it was not a big problem if he suffered some injuries. But if this young palace master of Tianjian Palace died in Chentian City, then this matter would really be a big deal. Fang Fan, let him go, in Chentian City, he can't hurt you. Chen Tianyuan walked up to Fang Fan and said. Fang Fan nodded and put away his long sword. It really doesn't matter to him whether to kill the young palace master of the Tianjian Palace. There has never been any bloody enmity between the two, but this Tianjian Palace's young palace master Jianming has always been looking for abuse. Under such circumstances, is it difficult to continue to give in? Shouldn't it be appropriate to cut off both of his hands? This should be benevolence. Anyway, it finally got what it wanted. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1105. Seeing Fang Fan put away the long sword, the master sword life of the young palace of Heavenly Sword Palace couldn't bear it any longer. Returning to Huang Jianduke's pillow, one of the 8 swords of Tianjian Palace, this sword life was barely relieved. Immediately, a vicious look appeared on his face. In all of this, someone has to come to take the blame. Jianming's vicious eyes glanced around the surroundings. In fact, what he hated most was not Fang Fan, but this Huang Jiandoke. At that time, Fang Fan's sword was on his neck. This bastard. This bastard doesn't even care. He even said the words to let him keep the honor of Tianjian Palace. It's just that he didn't dare to directly beat Huang Jian, one of the 8 absolute swords. His identity is there. Although he is the young palace master of Tianjian Palace, he has never had this authority. Snapped. Clap clap clap. Jianming slapped several Tianjian Palace practitioners in the face directly. Trash. What were you doing when I was trapped? Old bastard. Do you all want me to die? Haha. My young palace lord's orders are not easy to follow. You don't feel like you need to obey, do you? When the young palace lord becomes the palace lord of the Tianjian Palace, I don't care if you are a little bastard or an old bastard, you have to give it to me. Pay the price. Obviously referring to Sang and scolding Huai. Although they were ordinary cultivators from Tianjian Palace, they were made for Huang Jianduke to see. Obviously, in the heart of this Tianjian Palace's young palace master Jianming, there is already engraved resentment towards Huang Jiandu. Huang Jiandokei's face turned black, he was so aggrieved in the face of these dudes. You can't beat it, you can't beat it, you can't scold you, and every now and then you'll be assassinated. Humph. Dokei snorted coldly and walked away. If he stayed any longer, he was afraid that he would really lose his temper. The matter in the Tianjian Palace came to an end, but the city owner of Chentian City had been standing beside Fang Fan with a dark face. A pair of eyes sometimes fell on Fang Fan, and sometimes on Chen Tianji and Chen Tianshan on the side. From time to time, I would also glance at Zi Ailing, Yun Yun, Yun Xiaoxiao and other women who had been holding Fang Fan's arm. Looking around like this, Chen Tianyuan's face turned even darker. The atmosphere was a little embarrassing. Fang Fan coughed and began to say, "Thank you, Lord City Lord, for helping me out." Silence, long silence. Fang Fan was embarrassed that he was about to commit cancer. "Can you still say something?" "Dad, brother Fang Fan is talking to you." Chen Tianshan, who was on the side, couldn't bear to see it, and urged on the side. Although Chen Tianji didn't speak, the hint in his eyes was obvious. Chen Tianyuan glared at the sisters Chen Tianji and Chen Tianshan, and then focused on Fang Fan. "What do you think, boy?" Chen Tianyuan asked directly with a dark face. "What do you think? What does City Lord Chen Tian mean? I just sincerely want to express my gratitude." Fang Fan shrugged. "How do you feel that there is still a conspiracy theory?" "That's not what I said. It's the marriage between you and Shi-er. To be honest, do you want to be the consort of my Chen Tian clan?" Chen Tianyuan bluntly made the words clear. Fang Fan was stunned for a moment. Chen Tianji's face turned red instantly. "Father, what did you say?" Although Chen Tianji's tone was mixed with complaints against Chen Tianyuan, his eyes unnaturally focused on Fang Fan's face, wanting to hear what Fang Fan was thinking. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1106. Actually, I have a family. Fang Fan directly showed up. Some things have to be made clear. On the human plane, in the palace of the Emperor, Meyer and Kylan were still waiting for him to return. Therefore, it is impossible for him to stay in Chentian City all the time, and he must go back to the palace of the Emperor. Have a family room. You have a family and you provoke my Shi-er. Chen Tianyuan suddenly burst into anger, but then he sighed again. For an existence as excellent as Fang Fan, he would definitely not believe it if he had no suitors. There have been a few women, and this is the norm. Just from Chen Tianyuan's point of view, he naturally wants to think about his daughter, so thinking about it, he will naturally feel unhappy in his heart. But even if it's bad, so what? Who made his daughter already have a soft spot for Fang Fan, and looking at the state between the two, she wants to split it up. Is it possible? Chen Tianyuan shook his head, but gradually thought about it. If you have a family, have a family. In the future, you will stay in Chentian City and be the consort of my Chentian clan. I'll give you what you need. I just hope you can treat my Shi-er well. Chen Tianyuan gritted his teeth, and was extremely reluctant to part. I can't stay in Chentian City forever. My home is in the Sunshine Galaxy. I'm not the kind of irresponsible person either. If Her Royal Highness Princess Shi is willing to follow me, I will naturally not treat her badly, and I will treat her as my love. But staying in Chentian City all the time is absolutely impossible. Fang Fan's face showed a proud look. He should show his domineering. Do you look down on my Chentian clan? Do you think the Chentian clan is too small? Not enough for you to toss? Chen Tianyuan narrowed his eyes, and there was a dangerous light in his eyes. Fang Fan's eyes swept around the surroundings. In fact, at this moment, Fang Fan was also fully focused, ready to evacuate at any time. But nothing can be done, and immediately enter the small world of Shushan Pavilion. This person in front of him is the master of the third grade power. Even if you haven't stepped into the sanctuary, I'm afraid it's almost the same. Fang Fan's current strength is still reluctant to fight against a middle-level quasi-sage, let alone a stronger existence. D. Facing Chen Tianyuan's aggressive question, Fang Fan nodded calmly. It's really small. Even if I stay here all the time, I'm afraid it won't take 10 years, there is nothing here that I can be afraid of. There is no danger, to give means to degenerate and sink. What Fang Fan said was the truth from his heart. From his point of view, he really thought so. But in the ears of everyone, it would be too pretentious. In 10 years, you can hang everything in the Chentian Star region? No matter what happens to the Chentian Star territory, it is still the powerhouse of the sanctuary. Does this mean that you can have the power of the sanctuary within 10 years? Young people, don't be arrogant. Perhaps it was quite casual to cultivate before the quasi-sanctuary, but the world after the quasi-sanctuary is not as easy as you think. Chen Tianyuan couldn't help but say. Do you know that all those who disobeyed me in Chentian City are already dead? You, maybe next. Are you afraid? Chentian clan's patriarch and Chentian City's city lord Chen Tianyuan couldn't help but see a dense mass of energy in his palm, as if he was going to attack at any time. A man is born in the world, he is better than bending. If you give in because of death, what's the point of life? Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1107. Fang Fan's mouth is calm, and he doesn't take it seriously. In fact, he has already panicked like an old dog in his heart. This might be an attack from a strong sanctuary. If he is really attacked, he will definitely be turned into scum in seconds. Until then, it will be really miserable. Fang Fan had already raised his heart to his throat, ready to evacuate the small world of Shushan Pavilion at any time. For fear of the slightest accident, he walked straight away in the cool moonlight. Father! If you kill Fang Fan, kill me first. Chen Tianqi dashed over directly, his face firmly stopped in front of Fang Fan. Daddy, don't kill brother Fang Fan. Chen Tianshan also came over and grabbed Fang Fan's arm, then glared at Chen Tianyuan. Chen Tianyuan stared at the sky silently. What sins did you do in your past life? Give birth to these two daughters. One by one, all with their elbows turned out. His old father is so sad. He didn't have any murderous intentions just now, just to test Fang Fan a little, wanting to make Fang Fan surrender and stay. But now it's better, everything is ruined. Humph. In the future, the city owner will not care about your affairs. Daughter can't help father. Chen Tianyuan was so angry that his beard was upturned, he snorted a few times, and left. Are you okay? Chen Tianqi turned his head, his face flushed a little. Well, I'm fine, thank you just now. To be honest, the scene seemed a little awkward at one point. That was the father who was wrong. He shouldn't have persecuted you like this. But what you said just now, is it true? Chen Tianqi twisted his hands together, and his face became more and more crimson. Fang Fan blinked. What did I just say? I just said so much. Can Princess Shi speak a little more clearly? Fang Fan was at a loss. That's what it said. As you said, if I was willing to follow you, you would treat me as your love. After Chen Tianqi finished saying this, his face was completely red. Fang Fan was about to say something, but Chen Tianqi blocked his mouth with his hand. You don't have to tell me, I understand. I won't make it difficult for you. When you are ready to leave Chentian City, just tell me in advance. I will always wait for you. After Chen Tianqi finished speaking, he pulled up Chen Tianshan and ran away. Fang Fan still didn't say a word completely. What is love in the world? Directly teach life and death. Fang Fan let out a wry smile. The romantic debt he had caused, he would have to pay it off even if he cried. Are you dying of beauty in your heart? Her Royal Highness, the princess of the Chentian clan, showed her love in public. How beautiful! How excited! Zi Ling on the side came over and grabbed the soft flesh around Fang Fan's waist, and started the killer move that a woman must have. Ha ha! Someone looks like an upright gentleman who doesn't want it, but he is so excited. He also pretends to be helpless. Yun Yun also followed Yin and Yang strangely. Today's women, if they don't clean up for 3 days, they will turn the sky upside down. You too, do you still want to sleep at night? Fang Fan said something suggestive, and Zi Ling and Yun Yun instantly turned red. Color embryo. Zi Ling cursed loudly. The Fang Fan I knew before was a righteous and upright gentleman. It turns out that everything is a disguise. Men are really big hooves. Yun Yun directly beat Fang Fan's chest with a small fist. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1108. Fang Fan said that he was really wronged. These women misunderstood him too deeply. So much so that he couldn't explain it. After staying at the Tiancheng Hotel for a few days, we soon reached the battle for the 7th level forces. Fang Fan's trip to Chentian City, in fact, the biggest purpose is to promote the palace of the emperor to a 7th rank power. The second is to enter the secret realm of Chentian for treasure hunting. What used to be the most difficult task to complete has now become the easiest to complete. Because it is really not difficult to advance to the 7th rank power. It can only be said that it is really promoted all the way in the hanging. At the same time, Xiling Palace and Chasing Soul Pavilion were also promoted. Originally, these were all 8th rank forces in the luminous galaxy, and now they have all been promoted to 7th rank forces. There were originally only 2 7th rank forces in the luminous sun galaxy, but after this wave, the number of 7th rank forces soared to 5. Palace Master Fang Fan, thank you. Gu Neng, the pavilion master of Chasing Soul Pavilion, walked over to Fang Fan with an excited expression. His expression was very excited and excited. Chasing Soul Pavilion used to be the 1st and 8th rank forces of the Dark Camp of the Luminous Galaxy. It seems that this name is quite powerful, but according to the normal way, it is still more difficult for them to be promoted to the 7th rank power. In the absence of special opportunities, this possibility will not be possible for at least tens of thousands of years. The 7th rank forces have crushed the 8th rank forces too strongly. Palace Master Fang Fan, this is the 5 trillion low-grade divine crystal I promised you before. There are not many divine crystals, so don't take offense. Gu Neng, the pavilion master of Chasing Soul Pavilion, took a breath, and his expression was very excited and excited. As he spoke, he delivered a storage ring containing a sufficient number of divine crystals. 5 trillion low-grade divine crystals, converted into top-grade divine crystals, are actually 500 million. For Fang Fan, whose financial situation is relatively embarrassing now, it is tantamount to giving help in the snow. After all, in order to promote several legions under his command, he has almost drained all the divine crystals on his body. Now Fang Fan's situation is relatively embarrassing. It seems to be extremely coercive, but in fact, the net worth is extremely embarrassing. It seems that I really have to find a way to make money. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. How about, open the card shop again? Fang Fan thought to himself that most of the divine crystals he had spent to advance to the Legion were actually obtained by selling cards. It can also be said that the existence of these cards provided Fang Fan with the first pot of gold. If the card shop has the opportunity, it can naturally continue to open. Opening a card shop is indeed a way, but this process is likely to be a bit slow. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. At least early visibility is a big problem. Forget it, don't worry about it for now, let's set up the stall first, and things in the future, I'll talk about it later. Fang Fan thought to himself. In the face of Fang Fan's embarrassing financial situation, everyone knew more or less. The sisters Yun Yun and Yun Xiao Xiao wanted to help, but they really didn't have the financial strength. Although Zi Ling claimed to have been one of the holy emperors of the Holy Heaven Alliance, he only had hundreds of trillions of divine crystals on his body. Compared to the huge gap Fang Fan needed, it was nothing but a drop in the bucket. Now, according to the general situation, what Fang Fan wants is an astronomical sum. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1109. Walking on the streets of Chentian City, Fang Fan was still thinking about the way to get money. Beside her, Yun Yun, Yun Xiao Xiao and Zi Ling followed. In addition, there are heroes such as Blood Shuro Legion, Galen, and Xiao Jinlong's bodyguards. Although it is said that in Chentian City, the safety factor can be guaranteed to a certain extent, but this thing is naturally not inevitable. Has Fang Fan suffered less killing intent in Chentian City before? What is the young master of the Yuchi clan? The young palace master of Tianjian Palace? Wave after wave, extremely cumbersome. Actually, you still have a way to get a huge amount of divine crystal. Using this method, you will become very relaxed, you don't have to do anything, and you can live a rich and luxurious life in the future. From now on, you don't need to worry about the crystal. Zi Ling on the side suddenly said with a smile. Fang Fan was stunned, there is such a good way, why doesn't he know? Then tell me quickly. What's the ink on here? Fang Fan pouted and said urgently. That is, you join the Zaokan Celestial Clan. That Princess Shi of your family likes you so much, as long as you join the Zaokan Celestial Clan, you will definitely be able to get a large betrothal gift. Will there be a shortage of divine crystals at that time? As Zi Ling spoke, the smiles on his face grew more and more. Fang Fan twitched the corners of his mouth, he thought what was going on. That's it? That's it? My stomach is very good, I don't need to eat soft rice. Fang Fan said angrily. Now this woman really can't handle it, how dare she laugh at him at every turn? Will this be worth it in the future? Isn't this purely a matter of not having the roof uncovered for 3 days? For this kind of existence, it is natural to be beaten to death. Everyone ran all the way and came to the central street of Chentian City. This is the Tianyu Chamber of Commerce. According to what we have learned before, the shops on the first floor of the Tianyu Chamber of Commerce are rented to the outside world, and the traffic here is quite high. If you can rent a shop here to open a card shop, the business must be very prosperous. Zi Ling on the side followed closely. The pavilion master of the Chasing Soul Pavilion, Gu Neng, and the Demon Emperor Snake Charm of the Motion Pavilion also nodded, and they had all heard of the name Tianyu Chamber of Commerce. Fang Fan came to find a shop to open a shop. As for Gu Neng and the others, they were simply bored. There were still a few days before the opening of the Chentian Secret Realm, but they suddenly became idle. In this Chentian city, they don't even have an acquaintance, so naturally they can only follow Fang Fan out to join in the fun. Overall, this is the big trend. Fang Fan. You are here too. Brother Fang Fan. 2 figures suddenly flew over in the distance, and at a glance, they were gorgeously dressed and their faces were exquisite. The two figures are one big and one small, the larger one is extremely elegant, and the smaller one is quirky. Naturally, these two are the princesses of the Chentian clan, Chen Tianqi and Chen Tianshan. I didn't expect to meet you here. Fang Fan, are you also here to participate in the auction? I was still thinking about whether to invite you to participate, but I always thought that you wouldn't like this atmosphere, so. When Chen Tianqi saw Fang Fan, his face was still blushing, and while speaking, his expression was a little excited. Auctions. Fang Fan was stunned for a moment, he really didn't know this. The so-called auction is officially organized by a certain force, and then the lowest price is set according to its value, and then it is auctioned on the auction table at the lowest price. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 1110. As for the price of the final auction, it can only depend on fate. If you happen to run into a frenzied bidding by a few big bosses, it is not impossible to auction the price 10 times more than the value of the item. If the auction item is relatively unpopular, it is very likely to pass in the auction. I'm not interested in auctions. Fang Fan waved his hand and said indifferently. Ding. Detected that a grand auction is about to be held, and now release the task card auction. Task introduction. Enter the auction and successfully auction 10,000 cards. The profit exceeds trillions of top-quality crystals. Time limit, 3 days. Mission reward, activate the card auction system. Activate the Xinjiao card in the drawn series of cards. Mission punishment, the host's cultivation base goes back 3 levels. Remarks, Sao Nian, recently you have gradually started to become weak. You need a stimulus to make you more motivated. More motivated? The sudden task made Fang Fan a little confused. Auction 10,000 cards. Profitable Chao Trillion need for Divine Crystal? Are you sure it's a top-grade God Crystal and not a low-grade God Crystal? Fang Fan opened his mouth, the look of confusion on his face became more and more obvious. The dog system really looks down on him now? At every turn, there are trillions of superb crystals. Who can stand this? Converted to a low-grade God crystal, it is 1 million trillion. Fang Fan took the opportunity to have the most wealth he had ever had, and it was only 2 billion top-quality crystals. Compared with 2 billion and 1 trillion, the difference is really too big. Fang Fan still couldn't understand what the dog system was thinking. But this reward is indeed quite generous. Fang Fan licked his lips, and his face couldn't help showing a moving look. Card auction system, after activation, you can directly put the cards you don't need into it for auction, and get a batch of divine crystal income. Or you can auction all kinds of cards you like in it. At that time, the system will charge 20% of the fee as the profit of the auction, and the host can get 20% of the profit of the auction house. The so-called card auction system is, to put it bluntly, a systematically arranged auction house. However, compared with the normal auction house, this auction house only auctions cards, so it is also called the card auction system. If this system is fully activated, if Fang Fan has extra unused cards in his hand, he can take them to the card auction house and exchange them for divine crystals. If there are some cards he needs in the card auction house, he can also buy them directly with divine crystals. It's just that this dog system is really dark, and it actually takes 20% of the items sent for photography. 20% is definitely not a small number. If this card auction system is really established, it will be able to clean up all the unused spicy chicken cards in my hand and exchange for a wave of divine crystals. I don't know what kind of cards will appear in the card auction system for auction. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes, saying that he was really looking forward to this matter. Once this task is completed, in addition to activating the card auction system, it can also directly activate the Xinjiao card in the draw series of cards. At present, the drawn series of cards already have black iron, bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond. This Zinjao card is obviously a higher level card. This higher level card will be able to open a higher level treasure card.